Hello, my friends. So it's been forever since we've done any kind of gameplay content on this channel, and I wanted to fix that. So I threw together this little aggro dash list for Blitz. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've done lots of playtesting. I've done multiple different variations. Keep swapping out cards here and there, and this is the list that I've settled on that I wanted to present to you guys. So I'll put the deck list down below. I tweeted on Twitter the other day about how I think Dash is in a really good spot right now. In Blitz, she's doing very well. So if you haven't followed me on Twitter, make sure you do. I'll pin that down below as well, so that you guys can check it out. I post lots of 3D printed props for Flesh and Blood, just cool ideas and stuff. Lots of fun stuff about Flesh and Blood. So if you're a fan, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube as well if you haven't, if you want to see more videos like this. But without further ado, let's get into the deck, right? So it's very bare bones. We have no sideboarding in this. No equipment other than your just core loadout. And I did that. I want the whole ideology behind this deck to be very simple. You do one job and you do it well, and that is to just pound your opponent's face in, right? So you have four pieces of equipment and one weapon. So you start off with your Achilles accelerators. These are, if you're running Mechanologist, you're probably going to be running these. These boots are just so good at surprise, tempo swings, getting around, erase face. There's just lots of different ways that these boots benefit you. And on top of that, it has Arcane Barrier 1. So in total, our 4 equipment pieces are going to have Arcane Barrier 3 in total. So hopefully that will be enough to contend with the Kanos and the Icelanders. Also the Rune Blades. Rune Blades are pretty good in Blitz right now as well. But we have the Goliath Gauntlets for our gauntlets. And they're really the only kind of arm equipment that I think really fits the deck. You have a lot of on-hits, and a lot of your on-hits are 2-cost cards, so buffing that up really makes a difference. It really makes it harder for your opponent to completely nullify that damage and stop your on-hit effects. So Goliath Gauntlets, very good in Dash, works very well in this kind of aggro kind of game plan, right? Your chest piece is your Tekla Foundry Heart. We're going to go over some substitutions later on if you don't have a Foundry Heart, or if you don't have a Model I for your headpiece. Spoilers, but we're going to touch on a couple cards that you can swap in place of those if you don't have some of the more expensive equipment stuff. So all in all, this deck is relatively cheap. I've noticed a lot of the Mechanologist cards are creeping up in price now that Dash is pretty viable. Like I said, she's in a really good spot right now. I am very happy to see how many people are picking up Dash. It's a little scary because now people are kind of learning more about how to counter Dash. As a Dash main, it's a blessing and a curse, right? It used to be you would sit down against people and sometimes they wouldn't know what Dash does, or you could sneak in some wins because they weren't expecting your damage output. And now with Dash being more prevalent, I think she's a top tier deck now, honestly, in both Classic and Blitz, or at least A tier. She's very good in my opinion, but more people are going to know how to play against you, which is it is what it is. But if you're unfamiliar with how Dash works, you start the game with one Mechanologist item card from your deck that costs 2 or less, and you put it into the arena. So almost every single game, you're going to pick Teklo Pounder. So this is one of my favorite cards from Everfest. The power level that this has brought to Dash cannot be understated. It's basically 6 power on the board, start of the game for free. If that's not a good hero ability, then I don't know what is. There's some cool new deck building options that have come out in Dynasty, but we're not going to touch on that right now. We're looking at this deck only at the moment. But yeah, Tekla Pounder says it enters the arena with 3 steam counters on it, and when it has no steam counters on it, you destroy it. It has a once per turn effect. Now this is not a may, this is you have to do it. So whenever you boost an attack action card, remove a steam counter from Tekla Pounder. If you do, the attack gains +2. Notice this is a once per turn effect. So the first time you boost for your first 3 turns, or the first 3 times you boost, you don't always have to boost every turn, you're going to remove a counter and it's going to give that attack +2. So the best kind of cards to like combo this +2 with are going to be your Combustible Couriers and your High Speed Impacts. So these guys, pedal to the metal as well. But mostly I use it, if you just have boost cards in hand, I mean the 2 damage, it amplifies your damage output so well, it doesn't even matter. But generally speaking, if you can, I would try to stagger them with your on hits. So your Combustible Courier at red, it's 2 for 4, and if it hits, the next attack you boost, this combat chain gains +3, and it has boost itself. So the boost mechanic is really cool. It's like a lot of things in Mechanologist, it's a blessing and a curse, right? You boost by banishing the top card of your deck, If it's a Mechanologist card, the attack gains go again. If it's not, you just banished a card for nothing, basically. There are certain things that interact with boost, even if you do not have a hit. One of the main things is the Achilles accelerators. So if you boost and you don't get a hit, so in our deck we're running all Mechanologist cards, so we don't have to worry about missing. But if you do run the boots in a deck that has like maybe Sink Belows or something, and you hit one of those, you can destroy these to gain an action point at instant speed, which is pretty cool. Some other kind of highlight cards are like I said, the rest of your on hits, which are High Speed Impact, which is a 1-for-4. Also, another cool thing about, before we touch on that card, about Mechanologist cards that I love, and that kind of leads to some of the hybrid playstyles for Mechanologist, every non-item Mechanologist card has 3 block. So if you notice, we have exactly 4 items in this deck, right? We have 2 Teklo Cores and 2 Teklo Pounders. Every other card has 3 block. So it makes blocking very like on rate, I guess is the best way to put it. So you never have a dead card in your hand because you can block with it, which maximum velocity in this deck, honestly, I found I'm using maximum velocity more to pop Phantasm and just block in general than I am to actually play it, just because in Blitz you don't really have the chance to do the setups for maximum velocity. But when you do pull one off, I mean, it feels so good. You're putting out so much damage when you have 3 boosts and then a maximum velocity. 3 or more boosts. I have pulled off a 4 boost into a maximum velocity before, but that's very hard to do. Some cool things that are kind of like tech cards for you. So we have High Octane here. So High Octane says it's a 1-cost non-attack action. So this will break the combat chain. You need to be careful about that in certain instances. So for instance, the Combustible Courier, if you have the trigger, and then you play like a High Octane, or if you have played a High Octane and you play a non-attack action like Spark or another item, you will break the chain and you lose that +3 effect. So be careful when you're playing non-attack actions as Mechanologist, especially around your on-hit abilities. But High Speed Impact, getting back to this. Oh, sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained. Please forgive me. So we'll talk about High Octane and then we'll talk about our other 2 on hits. So High Octane says, whenever you boost a card this turn, gain 1 action point. Draw a card and go again. So this is what I was saying. You'll oftentimes rack up a lot of action points with this. This is not as impactful in this deck because it used to be you would do a lot of pistol shots. You weave the pistol shots between your boost attacks. But usually with High Octane, what I'll do is I'll play Spark of Genius. If I have it, go fetch a Teklo Core. You draw a card from this, you draw a card from this. It sets you up with a pretty good hand. Plus you have kind of, if you get hit with an erase face, this is a get out of jail free card because you still gain an action point when you boost. Doesn't matter if you hit or not. With boost, you do not have to boost. Boost is an optional thing. So if you're playing and you're boosting and you're just going hog wild and this is your last attack for the turn, don't boost it because you're burning cards off the top of your deck that you don't need to. If you have no other actions after your final attack, do not boost it unless you have a very particular reason to. Because you're going to run out of cards pretty quickly in Blitz. You only have 40 cards, and basically each card is 2 cards if you think about it like that, because you're playing the card, so that's getting rid of that card and also the card that you boost away. So just be careful. It is very easy to just kind of pedal to the metal, pun fully intended, and go hog wild and then end up burning through your whole deck and just kind of staring at your opponent like, well, oh well, you know. But your other 2 on hits give your next attacks dominate. High Speed Impact is a 1-for-4 red. We only have the reds of the pedal to the metal and High Speed Impact, but for High Speed Impact, it's 1-for-4 on the red. And if it hits, the next attack you boost is Combat Chain. So you pay attention to your Combat Chain, gains dominate. So you have to actually boost the attack. So this is really good for stuff like Throttle. Throttle red is a 2-for-6. So this is what I'm talking about, where if you have to boost it, you can do this as like a close, and you can still boost it just to gain the dominate off of this. But the kind of slightly better one, in my opinion, is Pedal to the Metal red, which is 2-for-5, and it says if it hits your next attack this turn, gains dominate. This includes your sword, Talishar. So in this deck, we're running Talishar because 2-for-4, it's just very good stat line, and by the time you've put 3 rust counters on it, your opponent's either dead or your deck is gone. So there's that. Pulse Wave Harpoon is one of the new cards out of Dynasty. Absolutely god tier card. It's a 1 for 4 with boost. It doesn't seem crazy, but it says when this attacks a hero, they reveal X cards from their hand, where X is the number of times you've boosted this combat chain. Choose an action card with block less than or equal to X, and then add it to this chain link as a defending card. You basically get to steal cards from your opponent's hand. And if you've boosted like 3 times and they have a card that only blocks 2, you can throw it in front of this. And so now they have to decide, do they want to overblock with a 3 block, or, it leads to a lot of really good mind games, and you can really disrupt your opponent's plan. You're playing against a Bolton. They have Lumina Ascension in hand, and they're trying to set up their combo. Rip it out with Pulse Wave Harpoon. Any kind of combo deck like that needs certain pieces in order, just rip it out of their hand, and what are they going to do about it, So, there's that. We have lots of really cheap boost cards as well. So we have the full rainbow of T-Bone and the full rainbow of 0 to 60. 0 to 60 is 0 cost. The reds are 4 attack with boost, and then obviously the yellows are 3 and the blues are 2. And then T-Bone is 1 less on every color. So the reds are going to be for 3, the yellows are going to be for 2, and the blues are going to be for 1. But if you control a card on the combat chain that was boosted, and this does count itself, so basically every time you play T-Bone and you boost it, you're defending a hero and must defend T-Bone with an equipment they control if able. Now, if the equipment has a block value of 0, for instance, the Achilles Accelerator or Goliath Gauntlet, they can throw that in front of it. But the cool part is, if you keep playing T-Bones right after one another, you can really make them block when they don't want to. This is good for the Crown of Providence. Pop it when they don't want to. Stuff like that. You can really cheese a lot of their blocking equipment out like this. A very cool card. Oh, another cool thing, just off the top of my head, if you are playing against anybody with an ally, so primarily Dromai, and you play like a Combustible Courier to kill, like they have a lot of 4 attack dragons, and a lot of 2 attack dragons, but you hit their dragon with this, it does count as a hit. It doesn't have to hit a hero, it just has to hit. So all your on hits are really good against Dromai. You have a really good time against Dromai as Dash, in my opinion. Like I said, you have a couple Phantasm Poppers, and these are Phantasm Poppers as well. But you also have just a whole machine gun of attacks. So you can kill out their dragons before they can get them going at you. But that's that. Scramble Pulse is another little tech card. It's just a 2-for-5 boost. It has equipment, has -1 defense while defending his combat chain. So it's pretty cool. This does, if something has, what's it called? I don't remember if it's Temper or Battle Worn. I think it's Battle Worn is the one that is destroyed if it has 0 block. If it has 2 block and it goes down 2 counters, if it goes down a counter and has the -1 from this, it does blow it up. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck. Like I said, you just kind of want to keep the pressure on. Just keep hitting them as hard as you can over and over and over again. Just all your boost cards. If you have blues in hands, like if you have a blue T-Bone, for instance, and you're not going to be able to use the T-Bone effect, swing with Talishar. If you have 1 resource at the end of your turn, pump it into the Tekla Foundry Heart, swing Talishar. It's very good. You'll have a lot of times you'll have 1 resource just floating after you've used all your cards in hand, and you can pump it into the Tekla Foundry Heart and hit them with Talishar. Now, the primary reason the Viscertronic Model I is here is mostly because it has Arcane Barrier 2, which is really great. But if you're playing against a non-arcane damage dealing deck, this active ability on it is actually pretty cool. So it says whenever you boost this turn, draw a card, and then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. It has Go Again on this as well. So basically, you get to kind of play off the top of your deck, which if you've ever played Magic, you know that's a very strong effect. But that's only for 1 turn. So there's that. Now let's talk about some kind of, I guess, replacement equipment for the Foundry Heart and the Viscertronic Model I. The helmet, I would say, is a little bit easier to replace because, like I said, the main reason why you run it is because it has Arcane Barrier 2. So you can swap in since you have all this room, you have 6 cards that you can put in for sideboarding. So you can put in something that, if you have like maybe an Arcanite Skullcap or something that has a good block value, you can throw that in there. It will always be relevant. So just your favorite helmet, and then you can throw in like a Nullrune hood, and then also the Nullrune gloves for your arcane matchups for your wizards. So you can take out your Goliath Gauntlet and your helmet and swap in the hood and the gloves if you don't have the helmet. And also, like I said, supplement it with anything really. I mean, you can literally run anything if you want. You can run what's the card called? Talismanic Lens, so you don't accidentally burn away some card you really want to play with your boost. That's a good one. I mean, there's lots of cool head equipments. You can kind of put whatever you want here. Like I said, we're mostly running it just because, this is a really small, concise package you can just put in the box and bring with you to your armories. For the chest piece, though, the Tekla Foundry Heart, it's a little bit harder to replace, especially because it has Battle Worn 2. So I guess it is Temper that blows up that I was talking about earlier. But it has Battle Worn 2, so that's 3 block in total. And it has this really strong effect. This does contribute to burning your deck away, so maybe you might want to consider using that sparingly. But some I guess decent replacements would be something like Vest of the First Fist. This is really good because you're probably going to hit with at least one of your attacks, and then you can pop this, gain 2 resources for your Talishar swings. Or you can even do what's it called? Blossom of Spring. I really like Blossom of Spring in Blitz. I think it's a very good card for Blitz. So that's that. This is the whole list here. Though you're pretty stacked to put out more damage than your opponent most turns, or at least make it very awkward for them if they want to keep their hands, because you have a lot of really good on hits. So that's the deck. If you want to play with it, let me know how you do. If you think there are any cards that you would put in here that I didn't, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you just want to talk about Dash, make sure you leave a comment as well. I love talking about the game. I love talking about Dash as a hero. So if you leave a little comment, I'll make sure I respond to you. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot. I cannot believe how many people have actually watched my videos over the last year or so, and I just want to say thank you to all of you. If you are interested in my Mask of Perdition 3D printed mask, I am going to be posting the files pretty soon. I will make sure that I put them in whatever YouTube video I make around the time that it comes out, but like I said, I tweet about everything, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm absolutely going to be putting the link on there. But regardless, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you again so much for stopping by.